Hey guys, this week we're talking about hip mobility. Now, February has been all about mobility, and if you've missed our other two videos, we have one about mobility overall for weightlifting, and then we also have another one around overhead mobility. But like I said in the overhead mobility video, a lot of what happens in the lower body can affect the upper body. So let's dive into hip mobility. I have 3 key points. We're going to talk about pre and during workout. We're going to talk about immediately after the workout, and we're going to talk about any time during the day. Let's get into it. So when we talk about mobility for the hip, let's talk about why it's important to Olympic weightlifting. Now, in a previous video, we mentioned that mobility below can dictate mobility overhead. And what I mean by below is in our lower body. So what I'm having AJ do here is to mimic poor hip mobility. So he's going to come down, and when we have poor hip mobility, often we can't take our femur and allow this external rotation where the knee can start to move out, which would move the femur out, which allows our butt to then come down between our ankles easier. So let's take a look at this. What he's mimicking is he's keeping his knees in. He's still letting his knees come forward, so he still has dorsiflexion, or the ability to allow his knees to come over his toes, but he's not letting himself open up. And this mimics poor hip mobility, which then if we watch his upper body, he then has to start leaning forward, right, to keep the bar overhead, which is pulling him all sorts out of position. Let's look at this from the side real quick. And here he is. And he's going to come down doing that same thing, keeping the knees to where they can't go out. He hits a certain point. We start to see his butt start to have to go back. He has to start to lean more to compensate to keep that bar overhead for the lack of ability to open up his legs to be able to push those knees out to have that hip mobility. Let's look at AJ when he does it correctly. So now he's going to let these knees come out. See how they're still over his foot, right? But where does his butt get to go? He's able to stay more upright, and we can really see this here from the side. Here he comes. He's letting those knees come out. Now his butt's able to sit in a bit more, rather than where he was able to get to prior. That's what we're talking about with hip mobility. Let's get into those movements that you can use in your workouts. All right, and here we have a high hip voodoo compression strap, right? So we're going to take the compression strap and we're aiming for high in the hip, all right? Be sure not to catch anything here, right? But we're aiming high in the hip, and we're going to wrap around just like we normally would with voodoo and compression. Now here's the thing about this position. Because we're so close to that femoral artery, this is going to be a shorter wrapping, maybe a minute, right? You feel this leg start to go numb, take it off and let some blood get to it. So this will be one that you can't endure for quite as long as some other extremities. What you'll do is, again, you'll just go through, say, squatting motions. You might stand and just some very light leg swings, nothing quick, nothing fast and explosive. We're just moving through some squats. Aim for 10 at first. 10 air squats, nothing with weight, up high in the thigh. Take that off about a minute, 45 seconds to a minute, and see how it feels. The 3-way hip opener. This is perfect for before workout, right? What we would do though is we keep it short. I'd have you think about maybe 10 circles with the knee, or even 10 seconds per position, right? 3-position hip opener. What AJ did here at first is he's up, think of a lunge position, knee down position. He's going to then come down, keeping his back flat. He has an anchor arm, and what he's doing is letting his elbow drape towards the foot, right? In this position, you see him, he'll start to move, almost gyrating a little bit, just creating a little bit of movement. Think about 10 of these gyrations, right? And then you're going to switch to the next position, okay? Elbow comes down, we can hold the foot. If you can't hit this position, it's okay to let the elbow be further away. Hand won't be on the foot, it'll be back here more, but we're still keeping that back flat and turning our chest towards our knee. Hand on the knee, and we continue these circular motions. All right, that's position 2. Position 3, we're going to come away, right? Anchor arms back up, but our chest is turning away from our knee. And now we're continuing this gyration motion, right? 10 gyrations. So if you're using it pre-workout, think 10 gyrations. If you're thinking post-workout or any other time, you can go longer. Think 30 seconds, right? Think a minute per position. So there you can increase the time and you'll still continue to get benefit, but I wouldn't do it for a very long time in each position pre-workout. So keep that in mind. All right, we have the plate hip opener. That's so simple. AJ is using a 45-pound plate here. You can use a lighter plate, especially if you have really tight hips. But what we're gonna do here is we're gonna place the plate onto our thigh and calf. And what we do is we have our feet together here, just like we were gonna do kind of a classic groin stretch, right? Now, what he's gonna do is once he gets that plate secured, he's gonna lie back and just relax and let gravity do the work. So simple. Aim for about a minute each leg, and that's all you got to do. Now this stretch I first learned when I wrestled in high school. It seems to be very popular with wrestling teams, with martial artists, and we're just going to call it the frog stretch. And perfect for after a workout. It can be static and it can be a bit dynamic. And all AJ is doing here is, if you see the position he's getting into, almost think about that classic groin stretch, but then flipped up where he's on his hands and knees, right? So we're spreading the knees wide, our feet are together in the back, pulled towards our butt, and we're going to sink down into this stretch. Now, in this stretch, we can use it as a static stretch just to sit and rest. Perfect for after a workout. Then we can also make it dynamic. You can see how he's moving back and then forward a bit, just allowing himself to stretch and work in there, right? I would keep this for after a workout, letting yourself kind of stretch and get in there, and then use that static component to really sit and rest. Aim for a minute to 2 minutes and just focus on breathing, letting that groin, letting that hip relax open. All right, and now we have the adductor roll. Now say we just completed the quad roll, or here AJ's got one leg on the roller just above his kneecap, right? He's going to turn, and do you see how he rotates to where here his thigh is at 90 degrees, his shin would go down 90 degrees, and he's got this leg relaxed. So this is the position we want to get into for the adductor roll. Here you can see a different angle, legs coming over, shins going down, foot's resting on the ground. Again, remember our steps here. Turn this leg off, turn the body off. We're trying to relax. Let yourself relax over that roller. Once we're here, we're going to move in 2 to 3 inch little rolls, right? Just nice and smooth, nothing crazy. And we're just using our hip to push our leg down a couple inches, let our leg come back a couple inches. When we find knots in there, we can pause and just breathe and rest on them. To roll up higher on your leg, scoot your body closer to the roller and continue the roll with the hip motion. You're going to work all the way up to the groin. And again, this can take anywhere from a minute to 4 minutes. Take your time, find those spots, and let yourself relax over the roller.